All right, everyone. We have got another special podcast guest today. We got Mr. Andy Milonakis in the house. Andy, how are you?
What's up, man? I'm chilling.
I love it, bro. I love that you are. I just feel like you're everywhere. I've, a long time you've been in the business. You've been doing a lot of different things. So I guess you have a poker tie. You like poker. I know I met you actually at a Twitch event. Tell us, before we dive back into the history of Andy Milonakis and sort of how you, all the things you do. Tell me a little bit about your fixation with poker. How did you get into poker?
I got into poker before the whole online. Was it Black Monday or what was
Friday, Black Friday? It was black. It was dark. It was dark times.
I was gonna say Black Friday, but then I knew Black Friday was the event like before Christmas. And then I was like, wait, that doesn't have a ring to it. They probably called it something else. But They still called it Black Friday.
Exactly.
Okay. So it was before Black Friday. I was living in a house with a bunch of friends. Online poker was thriving. It was like Ultimate Bet was like, I think, one of the biggest ones. And my roommate, he's actually an actor. He was, if you know Kevin Smith's films, Jay and Silent Bob, Clerks, Chasing Amy, he's Jay Muse from all that stuff. Okay. So he got into it through a friend, and I don't want to get all name droppy and shit, but me and Leonardo DiCaprio were talking. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, yeah. So he knew some like poker people and some people that were into poker. And somehow I just started playing online with him, and it was really fun because we weren't really risking tons of money all the time. Because of like sit and goes and stuff. And, we'd each play in our room. We'd play different sit and goes, but like it was like such a fun hobby to crack out. And, I still don't really fully know what I'm doing, but like I really didn't know what I was doing back then. I just kind of I knew what the hands were, learning the basic of what hands are what is very easy, but then getting good is very, difficult. So I just started doing it then, and I just really loved it. And then over the years after the whole online thing got shut down, there were just different opportunities in Hollywood that popped up for games, whether they were like charity games or whether they were just like once in a while, me and my friends would go to Commerce or something. And I never really took it seriously. I never like grinded and I'm like, I'm going to be a poker player or anything. But the excitement was still there because of how it was kind of just a random hobby where I would go to Commerce, like, out of the blue.
Right.
After like 2 months would go by and be like, all right, let's go to Commerce, sit down at the like 1-2 table and just chill and order drinks. And,
Very cool.
And then, as time went on, I think just recently when I went to the Twitch charity event, I met some people there, and then that ended up turning into getting an offer to work for America's Card Room, and I did that for about over a year, and I started taking it seriously, and they sent me to Costa Rica to be in events. Yep. I would stream a lot of it, and I would just really get into it. And then I went to Run It Up Reno, and I just started putting more hours into it. And the very first event I did on ACR, it was the Venom, and I lasted I think 15 hours or something. I got my prize, I think, was like $6,000 or something. So that was cool. I was like, well, I'm not anywhere near first, but just playing for 15 hours, being at my skill level, it's pretty good. Hitting that bubble, and then I think the first bubble was like 3,500. So I kind of made a couple of rungs on the ladder. And then at Running Up Reno, I placed in a couple tourneys there, and I'm like, man, I really used to doubt tourneys, and I would just see, oh man, there's like hundreds and hundreds of people in a tournament. Like,
Right.
You know, what are the odds of me actually placing, you know? And then once you start placing in a couple tournaments, you're like, man, you know, grinding and, you know, a few lucky spots, just like you could actually get there, you know?
It's fun. I mean, I stream tournaments when I stream. Tournaments is more fun for an audience because there's a storyline, right? Cash game,
Yeah.
you get knocked out, you just reload, or you know, you win a couple buy-ins. But tournaments take a lot of time. There is an art to it. There's a lot of different stack sizes and studying, so it's fun. But which would you say you prefer if you could have a full day to play? If like say you could go to either a casino at the Commerce or you play a tournament like a 1-day turbo at the Commerce. If you could
really like tournaments, and I even like sit and goes. I feel like I don't know. I feel like the way I play in tournaments, I have like my head on straight, and I'm kind of like I got my eye on the prize, and I'm like really, really thinking about each hand. I'm not like, you know, in a cash game, I'm kind of like, oh, fuck this guy. This guy is just bullshitting me. I'm just gonna, you know, go in at him like. You know, just those loose plays where you don't really care about it. But with a tournament, like every single hand matters to me, and I feel like I take it more seriously.
Right. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay. Well, so poker, you've done some representation, and tell me you are now actually you have something else going on in poker. So you are in the space. You're alert to what's going on, and what? Tell me about where you're currently doing with poker.
So now, I got signed through Tom Dwan because I've known him for years. And we went on like some random trips together and stuff like that. And you know, I think I didn't talk to him for a while. You know, he's kind of busy and he's in Hong Kong right now. He all of a sudden, I think, thought of me because I had a tweet that got really popular and viral, and like a lot of people saw it. And that kind of was like, he's like, oh man, I just saw that tweet, man. I haven't talked to you in a while. What's your new number and stuff, right? So he called me up. We did a little video chat. He told me he's working for a site called Poker King. And, you know, we just had a little back and forth, a little conversation, and we just worked out a deal, and I signed a deal with them. And what's cool about that is I'm like getting a benefit from being involved with them because also I'm getting like coached. I'm getting like a bunch of different coaches. I'm going to be doing content with them where I like, you know, play a bunch of hands and then get like a poker pro to coach me and tell me what I did wrong and kind of help me out. And eventually when the COVID thing clears a little bit more and it's safer to travel, we'll probably do events, and I'll probably get to do like live, like, live poker games, maybe some like vlogs and content and stuff like that. But right now I'm just kind of getting coached at home with like, you know, maybe we take an hour session and then they'll look over my hands and help me out and stuff. So
for sure. Well, tell me, you mentioned this tweet. That was something on my radar here. I actually saw you a funny follow-up where someone, I guess like someone you passed like the record, or you know, for like the Korean, this guy who was like a super fan, and you broke the record.
Yeah. K-pop.
Yeah. What happened here? So this is like you just woke up, very, very well worded, very creative. You're a writer, producer, right? You do a lot of different stuff, but you just woke up and said this. And I mean, yeah, because your tweets get engagement. You know, people, it's nice. You post, people listen, they engage. But to see that, I mean, that's just ridiculous. 3.8 million people in the world. You're talking percentage of the world at this point have seen the tweet. What were you thinking? I mean, how does that feel to see that go viral?
Dude, I mean, before that, like none of my tweets even got 100,000 likes. Like even 100,000 is like really, really crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I woke up and I was watching the SpaceX launch, and I just saw them like, you know, just piecing out, leaving the planet. And then I instantly thought of how shitty this world is right now. And I was just like, man, I just thought of like a little tweet, and I almost ruined it because I have a habit of like droning on too much. And I was just like, man, I almost like typed like 3 paragraphs. So I ended up like, all right, I got to shorten this. It'll be sweeter if it's short and sweet, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I wasn't like thinking I was going to get some crazy ass thing where it's just like, it's the 3rd most popular tweet in history now.
That's pretty. It is pretty wild. I gotta say that's interesting. Tell me about Anthony Bourdain here. I noticed on your background here on Twitter. Is that obviously rest in peace, and you were you a friend of yours, or did you just love the show? What was the what's about?
I couldn't call him a friend, but I did have the honor of meeting him. I was a big fan. I think there's a lot of travel hosts in the world, and there's a lot of like corny travel hosts that are just kind of like, just like, hey guys, we're gonna eat this. Oh my god, that's that, right? Yeah. This is good, right? Yeah. Oh, good. And I'm just like, he's just like a wise ass New Yorker, ex-chef, ex-drug addict, just like grumpy but really well-spoken, poetic. And he was just the type of guy that when you watched his show, you live vicariously through him, and you want to be there at the same time. You're like, this is a guy I want to sit down and have a beer with. You know what I mean? I think he was the best to ever do it. There's no travel host that's been better. So yeah, I mean, I was on an airplane once, and I've tweeted things from places that I've gone, because I do a lot of travel for streaming.
Yeah.
And I've gone to places like that he's recommended in different parts of the world, and I'll take a picture and send it to him. I'm like, hey, I found that place you recommended. And he was like, oh man, it looks great, looking good, blah, blah, blah. So then one day I'm on a plane and we hit 10,000 feet. I turn the Wi-Fi on and I look at my phone. And like right when I turn the Wi-Fi on, I get a tweet from Anthony Bourdain saying, are you going to say hello or what? And at first I was like, what? What does that mean? I thought he meant like I didn't tweet him any food pics in a while. And then I'm like, wait. And I turn around, he's sitting right there. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm not even underselling. I'm not even overselling it. Like, there's no one on the planet at that point that I wanted to meet more than him. So I look to him, and he's with his wife and kid, and I just go, I'm like, I'm not going to bother you as long as we can take a pic when we land. And he goes, yeah, sure. So I didn't even talk to him. I didn't go over there. I didn't bother him. And then when we landed, we took a picture. And during the flight, we were tweeting each other back and forth like jokes. I was like saying some stupid shit like, yo, can you put in a word? I'm trying to join the Mile High Club. and he's like, I don't think I can do you any favors. The flight attendant's been giving me dirty looks ever since I turned down the in-flight meal.
That's amazing. So where were you guys going? Was it just like a domestic random like short flight, or was this an international somewhere crazy trip?
No, it was New York to LA. That's the flight I do the most, because I'm from New York. I got family in New York, and I lived in LA for 17 years. I might go back, but right now with the COVID shit, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, so we were just New York to LA, and I don't know. It's crazy. I'm just a huge fan.
For sure. All right. Well, I did. Yeah, I noticed that. I saw that on there, and was wondering the story. But that's pretty cool. That's interesting. And you travel a lot. Like we see Twitch. I love your IRL. I think you were one of the biggest, if not the biggest, or in that space going around the world. And I know Twitch very well. And for those that don't, it's a bit complicated because getting good internet is not always easy, whether or not you're streaming from even at a hard line in a lot of places. So can you explain a bit about IRL? I know you've done Korea, which I know a lot of people do IRL, and it's got really good internet, I guess, in general, but give me a little bit of the troubleshooting with the backpack or the, what it takes. Cause I don't think everyone understands how much work and effort goes into that.
Yeah. Once you get good at like fixing the backpack's problems, it's kind of like becomes second nature.
Right.
But the best way to stream, unless you're in a place like South Korea, which has the best mobile internet in the world, you could go stream with a phone and be fine.
Right.
But most places like, even North America, for mobile internet, it's not really that good. So the backpack basically has a box. It's like $1,000 box that takes in 4 different mobile connections. It takes one Ethernet, two USB, and one Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And it takes the data and it sends it to an OBS cloud server. So basically, you walk around with a camera of your choice. If you're filming yourself, usually you want a light one. So I use this little Sony usually, unless I have a cameraman for the day. With a little selfie stick, and then you have a little clamp with a phone that has your chat room and alerts. And then the fact of having 4 different mobile routers is just like kind of like redundancy. You know what I mean? Like if I was walking around somewhere in West Virginia and maybe there's a spotty Verizon reception, then the AT&T router will kick in and give you enough data to stream.
Okay.
So it's just an ability to have a way stronger connection than one mobile SIM card, and at the same time getting to use a camera of your choice instead of using your phone, you know?
Okay. Very interesting. Is that the Gun Run sort of built? Is that what he did?
That is, yeah, shout out to Gun Run. Gun Run revolutionized that. And he gave me a very, very good gift when I was in Japan. He was working on the beta edition of the Gun Run 2.0, and I was the first one to get to test it. A weird flex. So the new one is like a way, way smaller bag, and he found batteries that are like, I think like 3 pounds or 4 pounds lighter. And so it's a way smaller bag, way less weight on the batteries. So mid-Japan trip, I'm walking around with this heavy-ass, like, you know, I don't know, 9-pound bag on my back.
It's a workout.
And it's not that bad for like the first 3 or 4 hours. But then like I stream sometimes like 10 to 12 hours a day when I'm in Japan because it's just like fun to be out and about all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm just standing there playing like the UFO catcher machines, just standing in one position. And this like, I don't know how many pounds the thing is. It's just like my back's starting to hurt and stuff. So he let me test out the new one. And I was like, dude, instead of just letting me test out, what if I just buy the parts and you make me one? And then not only can I have the new one for myself greedily, but also I could tell you all types of problems. If there's a problem with the new battery, how long it lasts, I could give you all that feedback you need. Right. So he's like, okay, here are the parts. And he made me my own like 2.0 backpack, which is nice because even the ones that they sell today, you know, they're not the 2.0 yet. So
right. And how much? Cool. That's about $1,000 all in, or no? Is the new one different?
No, the $1,000 is just for the box, but then you got to pay for all the mobile routers. You got to pay for the data. So like the backpack alone with all the connections and the camera and everything, probably about closer to $3,000. And then your monthly data could be upwards of like $1,000 a month, depending on if you have the international plan or domestic. I think domestic might be more like 600 or something.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the Twitch, the art, it's an art form because it really is. It's not just so simple. So many people come to me and they want to stream on Twitch, and I think no one would know better than you because, you know, you're talking about the mobile, like this is another level of not just at your computer, and even then there's challenges with OBS and equipment and internet, all these things. You know, a lot of people, it really does take a lot of work, and I think that's why there's, you know, the ones that rise to the top, people that get good followings, and you know, you have to be able to be good at what you do, and then you also have to be able to deal with a lot of. You have to be willing to go through some of the hoops and hurdles. So it's pretty cool. When did you know Twitch was for you? Because you've been in TV, you've done, you know, I want to get back and cover a lot of sort of your career and sort of the history of Annie Milonakis. But when did Twitch jump out as the answer that would be something appetizing for you?
As soon as the IRL section came out. I was on Twitch like for 2 years as a hobby. I didn't talk to my chat that much. I didn't really have a sub badge graphics. I didn't give a fuck. I just kind of like, I was like, you know what? This is a fun hobby. I found out about it. I think my account is from like 2013, maybe.
Okay.
And then finally when the IRL came out, I went from playing a video game to full screen camera, trying stuff out. And I went from like, 200 viewers to like 1,200 viewers in like one day of doing full screen content. Because the thing is, and I try to encourage other creators, if you're kind of more of like a personality streamer who kind of puts yourself out there, when you're just your head's in the game like this, and you're like, hey, what's up? It's not really showing you. You're kind of, there's like a disconnect, right?
Right.
Then you go full camera and you start talking to people and fucking around and making jokes and stuff, and people are like, oh, this is what I'm here for. I don't give a fuck about that game with your little video box.
Right.
You know, unless you're like a great pro player, they want to come there for you. So as soon as I started doing full camera video and actually, sorry, my sleep schedule's off. I've been going to bed at like 8 a.m.
Oh, good.
I started going around doing phone streams, like IRL streams, and it just took off. And this was at a time when I was kind of starting to revamp my YouTube, and then I was just like, oh, this is clearly the wave right now.
Yeah, I see your YouTube. You post some stuff a couple months ago. You throw up some clips, but you did have. I mean, it's been 5 years since you were really. You got some videos and things up there. So is that you just basically decided?
Well, I mean, I have a bunch of uploads from like this year and last year, but it's not steady at all.
Yeah, uploads, exactly. I see, because I do see that it does say 3 months ago you did throw up some. You have stuff on there, but it definitely shows you haven't really been. I mean, it's crazy because your YouTube videos are getting 2 million, 4 million, 5 million views and went crazy. But you just believe Twitch was the right fit. You pivoted to more to allocate. More time
especially I actually decided at a really good time. The whole so when my Twitch started taking off, I was kind of like, fuck, man, I gotta fix my sleep.
You're good.
When Twitch started taking off, I started going full forward, and then about 2 months later, like 3 months later, the adpocalypse happened. That just fucked over so many creators on YouTube. And even now to this day, a lot of creators, they like bleep themselves out and censor themselves because they won't get paid anything. They went from getting paid like, $50K a month to like some of them like, 10% of that or 1% of that, depending on how vulgar their content is. Personally,
could you explain a bit about that? Because I'm aware of that, but I don't really understand the full. Is that because they basically a lot of videos had to be censored or ads cut because of like the violent, crazy nature of some stuff? They didn't want to have a Coca-Cola ad on someone doing crazy inappropriate stuff, and it was sort of the Wild West before. Is that the gist of it, where it like cleared out a lot of the ads?
Yeah, there was some controversy of like really fucked up, like racist videos, homophobic videos, and just they didn't really have a monitor to see if it was like always Coca-Cola and then some like Nazi speak. You know what I mean? Like, so
what I understood it as. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it was just kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, and then as soon as like some big companies pulled out and they're like, hey man, you're running a Coca-Cola ad in front of this. Get your shit together for now. Peace out, bitches. And they left. And then a bunch of big brands followed suit. So, that's the stream of money that's paying the creators, right? It's always advertisers and TV, like since the history of time.
Yeah.
So people went from making a killing to making like almost nothing. Right. Some family-friendly creators weren't as affected,
Right.
But
I think, talk to me a bit about that, because you have sort of, it seems like weaved and bobbed through the industry, different creative stuff. How important is it to you to pivot? And I think we see with COVID, nothing is guaranteed, right? In life, of course, but in what you're doing, you don't want to be all in on TikTok or all in on something. You want to have different options, because things change, stuff happens, COVID happens, life happens. You don't know what the next platform is. How are you able to stay ahead of the curve in the trends? Like how do you stay on top of that?
I think, starting with the internet so early, and the only reason I got noticed and got a TV show and stuff like that was from the internet, because I created internet videos at such an early time. It was even before YouTube was out. Mm-hmm. So kind of getting my start so early in the internet days, and being kind of like a tech geek and being kind of obsessed with the internet, if you have your ear to the ground, right, and you're just constantly looking and hearing about different stuff, you just see the potential in some stuff. You see how it's growing, and you're like, wait, can I be creative on this platform? How fast is it growing? Is this my type of thing? And then you just give it a try. You know what I mean? So, and pivoting is kind of the cool thing about pivoting is the glory of the internet, right? You think about the cliche of actors and actresses, you know, getting out to Hollywood, maybe getting some work, and even when they have notoriety, they do like a movie or whatever. If you're not constantly getting work as an actor, which most people that are actors and actresses are not constantly in a stream of work, what do you do pre-internet? The cliche, the stereotype is you're a waiter, right?
Mm.
You wait tables, you earn as much money as you can in your downtime. Hopefully you get a big pop from your next project that will like let you coast for a while, and then you got to go back to normal work. The glory of the internet is all this ability to turn a camera on and make money. And that wasn't a thing when I started. I just did it as a hobby because in early 2000s, there was like, in the year 2000, you couldn't even be like, all right, I'm going to turn my camera on and make some money today. What are you doing? Yeah, let me do a little thing, and I'm going to go make some money, and then we'll hang out. It just didn't work. So it was just pure passion. I just really loved making people laugh and doing silly ass things. And I just saw it was a cool avenue to do that. And then it turned into something big. And I got a very quick lesson when my internet videos turned into an actual show and, actual like some success. And then even then it was still kind of like, man, it's really rare to make money on the internet. And then as the years go by, there's more avenues and more avenues, and Twitch and YouTube and Patreon, and now like cringy ass TikTok. It can be funny sometimes, but
Right.
So yeah, I think pivoting is really, really important. It gives you the ability to have a stream of income while you might be working on bigger things, or you might think that's like the biggest thing. Like, although Twitch is like really big for me, there are still other projects I want to work on, but now I have the ability to work on that because I could sit back for, a month in my spare time and work on something, because at the end of the day, like, I just could stream on Twitch, and it's like, not that taxing.
Right.
I could work on so many other projects.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the fine line between, I guess, being lazy and being like a cyborg and just not off your phone. Because to the point you're mentioning, back in the day, you got to, if you want to be a waiter, you got to do stuff. You got to go in, you got to get a job. Sure, they might just hire you, but now, I have a problem myself. Like with it, the internet's so prevalent. There's so much stuff going on. You could do 100 different things. You get your hand in a lot of projects. You're on your phone. Someone's texting you about a next idea. Join this poker, whatever it is. It's so much stuff going on, but there's almost no excuse to be lazy. Like your point, you can make money. You can find something, a hobby, and turn it into a craft and find ways to kind of side hustle. But also at the same time, it just seems like it's never ending. How do you find, I would, obviously you're not lazy. You're, I would say, on the other side of that, closer to maybe doing too much. How do you say no to things? And how do you do you have a team? Do you have managers, agents? How do you sort of balance all the things that you're doing to organize your life?
I do have a manager. I think this is the way I balance it. Does this make money for me? And how much fun am I going to have doing this? If I'm going to have a lot of fun doing something, but I'm not going to make money, or maybe I don't make money directly, but it might be good for my career, like put me in the spotlight a little bit. So there's a couple things to weigh it out. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's just so many things that people say yes to just to say yes. Right. Oh, well, they asked me to, so I said yes. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I don't know, man. I guess it's complicated. It's complicated because
it is. It's not there. It's almost like there's too many options or decisions, and there's a lot going on, and it's you got to calibrate everything because it is there's only so much time. I think as we get older, we've been doing stuff for business things for a decade, 2 decades. You start realizing like ultimately it comes down to time, right? Like it's like you only have so much. You can only have time to enjoy. You want to work. You want to create wealth. You want to have fun, but you also you're limited time and phases of your life, right? So it's it's sort of hard. You gotta find. I think as we get older, we hopefully get better at that. But that's what I was saying. If you have any hacks or tricks or things that you've learned about sort of experiences that you've kind of stuff that went well or didn't go well that you've learned from on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a trick to like this might be not really the question, but there's like cliche phrases, but they're kind of for a reason, right? Like, work smarter, not harder type thing. I need to give myself that advice because sometimes I stream, like now with COVID, like I haven't been traveling. When I'm traveling and on different planes in different countries and walking around streaming, I feel really good. I don't feel like lazy. But I could stream on Twitch like 55 hours a week at home and still feel kind of lazy. I'm like, what did I actually do? I put hours of like time into the stream, but does that initially make me not lazy if I'm not getting any exercise, if I'm not doing anything mentally taxing, if I'm just playing games like mindlessly, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it's like maybe it's less lazy than someone just sitting on the couch all day. But even if I'm making really good money this month, I still sometimes feel lazy. And and maybe I'm just a harsh critic on myself. But so I constantly want to push myself to make, cool content that I feel good about, and feeling a sense of accomplishment just feels good. So like I started a Twitch show. It's going to be a once a week thing where I help smaller streamers out. And after that show, my first episode, I felt accomplished. And throughout the week, I'm helping the winner of each episode. Like, I'm co-streaming with them, I'm hosting them, and I'm really trying to get them to be self-sufficient so they become partner and they just succeed. And then I feel accomplished. Something as simple as like, doing a cooking stream. I feel like putting the effort into like, I got this new Traeger smoker and I'm like, I made a 6-hour like smoked pork ribs. And as simple as that, it feels accomplished. I'm like, here's what I'm doing. Here's the rub. 3 hours, and then wrap it and then put this on and then 2 hours. And then the finished product is, I know you guys are jealous, but even like that, it feels like it went somewhere and it feels like some sense of accomplishment. But to creators, I think I feel like more, it might not be directly related to the question you asked, but as far as advice, I feel like, I don't know, man. I think making like polarizing content and stuff that like, I say like before you upload a video or do a stream, you got to think like, if I can edit this video before I hit upload, if I watch this and try to like remove myself from it, would I instantly be so in love with this piece of content that I would want to send it to everybody I know? And if it's just kind of bland and it's just kind of like, well, I'm just, starting a video series. If it's not something you're like, man, I got to send this to people right now. If you don't think that, then other people probably won't think that. I know everybody's different, but you should be your harshest critic and make stuff that will like grip people. You know what? Whether it's a live stream or not. Something that will grip people. That's why when I start playing a video game and I don't talk to my chat room, my views get cut in half.
Right.
But if I'm like fielding questions and I'm asking them a question, or if I'm freestyle rapping, or if I'm walking the streets in Tokyo and interacting with a stranger, it's something that's gonna grip people to be like, I want to stay and see more. You know what I mean?
Right. That's a great point. I got to ask you about poker then, because poker is even more farther it's further off than even just regular if you're playing a game, because poker actually has like a delay. You need 3, 4, 5, 6 minute delay. That's what I stream on. How do you feel about that? Because I feel like that's so unfortunate for poker, because I always, it's so disconnected. It's like not even IRL. It's not even like a game. It's 6 minutes. Now you're talking to me and I'm answering you. You got to wait 6 minutes to see if I even answer you. And then if it's not really like a natural conversation. How do you find when you're streaming poker that because I think that's really tough in the poker community for streaming.
I think what poker needs is somehow to dual stream a live audio feed as well as a delay. So whatever you said 5 minutes ago is cool, right?
Right.
And you're going to be kind of like talking over yourself a little bit. But if you have a live feed to the chat to talk to them and interact with them, even if the video is delayed, it gives you a little bit more of an advantage to engage with people when they're coming in. So they need to have two feeds. The audio video feed that has a 5-minute delay for your gameplay so no one snipes you and cheats.
Right.
And there needs to be like a button where you could put a live audio feed into talking to the chat.
Interesting. That's an interesting way of explaining it. Yeah, I've run a couple ideas, bounced it around, and it just seems like there is something there. There's got to be a better way, because it's just
there has to be a better way. I mean, the other people who are not super serious about poker on Twitch who stream it, they refuse to stream with a delay and they cover their cards. And I guess that doesn't matter as much for when you have a chat room full of people that are not hardcore poker fans, because then they get the instant gratification of talking to the streamer, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of weird though too, because if you're on no delay and you like cover your cards, you could almost like troll or mess around, right? Like you could be like bluffing in a way, like like the hand's going on and the guy's like watching you in real time, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna, it's just kind of like a weird dynamic. You can still show the replay. You can take the card cover off when you fold, but even then, I guess you couldn't even take the card cover off if you fold, because you would be affecting the action in the current hand, right? If someone's watching. So it's just, I don't know. I'm curious. I think that must be hard for someone like yourself, who's not really fundamentally a poker streamer. And like to your point, people want to use a card cover because if they're not poker streamers and they try it, it's like, it's too tough for the audience to come to get behind it. It
really is too. And even though I think poker is a very interesting thing, like when you have a delay and you can't really fully engage with the chat, it's very hard to grip an audience, unless you're in maybe a huge game,
Right. Fair enough. I agree. I think that's a valid point. Maybe we could talk more about that idea. It seems complicated, but doable. It's 2020. Things are possible these days. That's for sure. Let's jump back a bit, because I do want to make sure we have some time for questions. There are a lot of them. Give me a little bit of the story. I have some notes here, and of course I remember the Andy Milonakis show. What was give me the story, the quick version of how that came to light. Wasn't it something about you made a video about the Super Bowl? You didn't go to a party. You made the Super Bowl video, and then was it Jimmy Kimmel's talent or someone there saw it and recognized it, and then they did like, well, how does that actually happen? When they see you, they recognize you're a talent, they bring you in to interview, test, do something, and was there like, did they present to you, let's do the Andy Milonakis show after some trials, or was it like you said, I would like to do this, or did they give you the idea? How did that all come to light?
So when Jimmy Kimmel first discovered my video, I was kind of like, I thought it was like a spam email. I didn't really know what was up. So it was kind of a case by case thing, right? We're thinking about flying you out to perform the song live. I was like, okay. And then they're like, right now we're not going to fly you out. We just want a release form so we can play the video on air. I'm like, okay. I signed the release form. I heard back a couple days later. They're like, hey, we found another video that we liked. And they were scouring my website, or it was actually my friend Brian Lynch's website, they were scouring it for other videos that I made. And they found other videos that they liked.
Right.
So then they were like, okay, we like the one where you did the fake accents. We like the one you did where that was like Peanut Butter Boy. And so they just kept sending me release forms. to play my videos on the air. And then it was really exciting. I was like on TV. I was like showing my parents and stuff. I was like, holy shit. But then after a while, they were like, we found a video where you're in a blizzard in New York and you're holding your camera up to people and asking them why they're in a blizzard. And the whole joke was I was in the blizzard too. I'm like, why are you out here in a blizzard? But I mean, I clearly was out there too with a camera. Right. But nobody even caught up on that. And they were like, why are you out here? Well, actually, one person did. So they're like, yeah, I just got to get my coffee. I'm like, you're risking your life for coffee? They're like, yeah, I need a coffee.
What year? So, that's in the 90s, or no? Was it like
this was like probably like year 2000 maybe.
Okay.
So they're like, we like that video, but you're holding the camera, so you're actually not on camera. We're thinking about hiring you to be a travel correspondent, but we need you on video. So they encouraged me to go make another video where I talk to people on the street, but this time I'm on camera. So my friend Brian, who's actually now he's a big screenwriter. He did Life of Pets and Minions. He's super successful, really nice dude. He came out with me to New York City and he held the camera this time, where I just started fucking with people, freestyle rapping in the street. I fed some lady a chicken wing. I hand fed her, just fucking around, trying to make some cool content. And so, I edited it down to like 10 minutes. I mailed them the tape. They're like, we love it. We're hiring you. Your first mission is to go to Panama City, Florida in spring break and fuck with the spring breakers. So that became like a thing that happened for over like a few months, where go here. This is your mission. They sent out a director and all that stuff. So I was a traveling correspondent. And then eventually they're like, come to LA and we're going to have you do a bit at the Weenie Roast. It's like a radio show, like event. And then we're going to have you live in studio for the first time on the couch with a Jimmy Kimmel interview. So I did that. And then that went well. And then they're like, hey, yeah, we're doing guest announcers. Right now we want you to be our guest announcer for a week. They're putting me up at a hotel. And they're like, after that week, they're like, we're going to need you for another week. And they're like, yeah, we're going to need you for another week.
So how are they paying you? Are they like giving you contracts on each one of these things? Is this just sort of
like... Yeah, it's like one-off contracts.
Okay.
And then they're like, you've been out here for a month now. We can't keep paying your hotel bill. We just need you to get a lease out here. I was like, okay. I came out here on like a fucking 1-week trip. Now you're just like on a 1-week trip. I ended up signing a 1-year lease in LA. And then,
where were you living before? It was New York? Is where you
I was living in New York. Yeah. Okay. I was working on IT, at an accounting firm doing IT stuff.
Okay.
So, they had me sign a lease, and Jimmy told me during this time, like within the first 6 months, he goes, listen, your videos that you put out, he goes, they're really original and they're really funny. Eventually, I think we could turn this into a thing based on your comedy. For now, keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to send you on these things, on these correspondent things and stuff like that. But eventually we could talk about this thing. So about a year goes by, and then one of his partners from Jack Hole left Jimmy Kimmel Live. And during that time, right when that happened, Kimmel hit me up and was like, now's the time. We're going to try to do your show. Because now we have one of my producers who's free, who doesn't have a job right now, and he can spearhead the Andy Milonakis show if we get picked up. So he brought in Tony DeSanto, who's a longtime friend of Kimmel. And Tony DeSanto at MTV was just saying like to Jimmy all the time, yo, let's do a show, let's do a project, let's do a project. And Jimmy for years never had anything for him. And all of a sudden he calls up Tony DeSanto and he goes, I got something. We went in a meeting. He showed them all my shit. They liked it. They said, let's do a pilot. We did a TV pilot. Months later, they had this big thing where MTV reviews like tons of pilots all together at a retreat.
Right.
And mine was shot kind of in the beginning, so we had to wait like a long time to get word. Finally, Kimmel called me and he goes, "I got Tony Santo on the line," and I was like, "Oh my god, is this, I guess, good news?" Because he has more people on the line, and they told me it got picked up for a whole season, and that like totally changed everything.
What was the thought process like? So when you're making this stuff, I mean, is it just you love it? It's fun to you. It's a project. Like you're just doing it because like you're in. I mean, you could never in your wildest dreams imagine. I mean, this isn't like you sent it in to get submitted. It was just randomly picked up, right? I mean, so like, what were you thinking when this started happening? You're flying down to spring break on MTV, you know, and these major companies are interested in you. Jimmy Kimmel's got his claws into you, you know, talking to you and sees your potential. What was that like for your friends and family and kind of like as it was happening? Because I mean, it's got to be pretty surreal. Like, especially in this time, there's no social media. You can't DM someone, right? I mean, it's old school. It's like emails or your phone calls. You know,
there's at this point there's social media, and I think maybe YouTube launched in maybe like what 2004, 2005.
Okay,
but it's still not the internet. It didn't hit like the fucking ultimate boom yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's still kind of at this point unheard of from someone turning internet related content into an actual job.
Right.
It felt like the Twilight Zone in the best way possible. I had like goosebumps. I would wake up and I would wake up and sometimes I would think like, did I just dream that? And then I was like, oh my god, it's real.
The Matrix. We're in the Matrix.
Yeah, it was really surreal in a really good way. And it didn't feel like my life. It felt like I was watching a movie about myself. Like I don't know, man. It was really cool.
That's awesome. And so the show gets going. You are, I mean, you know, everyone I remember my age, you saw it. MTV was hot as it gets back then. Nowadays, all this stuff changed. There's streaming stuff and Netflix, all these different things. And I don't watch much TV, but back in the day, MTV, if you were between the ages of so-and-so, right? Like you watched MTV, you saw all the programming, you were on there. What was that? How, you know, were you getting recognized everywhere? I mean, you still like, was it just like, what was that like? Did you live in LA then? You got to in LA. So
I lived in LA. Yeah. Yeah. The first time I got recognized, I had a panic attack. Well, it wasn't the first time I got recognized. I went into a club and I got mobbed by people, and I never even knew what a panic attack felt like. All of a sudden, there was a mob of people around me. I couldn't breathe. And I ran into a corner and like just sat down and I was like, fuck, man. Holy shit.
Do you remember what club that was? And what, this was in like 04 or 5 or something like that?
Oh, man. I don't fucking remember.
Changes. Those things turn over
Those
a
things
lot.
change, yeah.
Either way,
maybe Concord or something. I don't know.
You get recognized. You kind of, and it's always like funny like that. People, you kind of work. It's like it's nice to get recognized a bit or get acknowledged, but you know, at some point, it just happens fast, right? If you get to that level, now it's like kind of a little bit weird, right? It's like you don't really know how you're supposed to handle it.
It's funny because I was doing Jimmy Kimmel Live for like a year, and I never felt that like you're a famous dude. Like, oh my god, that's Andy from Jimmy Kimmel. I'd get recognized a little bit here and there. But when you're on a 3-minute segment in like an hour show, it's kind of like, did I see that guy somewhere? But then now, like, it turns into my own show with my name and shit like that. And they, you know, MTV just relentlessly puts on ads for your show. It's like commercial, any Milonakis show. So.
Right, you're not even a star, or you're not even like on that 70s show or something. It's your name as the show, which is even more kind of unique and rare, and yeah, it can't really hide, right? It's just like, all right, everyone knows your name. It's pretty cool though. I mean, it's got to have pluses and minuses, but
yeah, I have a actually quick story I could tell you that's kind of funny. It kind of shows you Hollywood, right? Mm-hmm. Before my show even came out, I was sitting down at this club, and this girl started like flirting with me and stuff. And I was like, okay, you know, whatever. And she's like, I gotta go talk to my friend. I'll be right back. And like, just like 5 minutes after I started talking to her, she goes, I'll be right back. And she like kissed me on the lips and walked away. And I'm like, huh? Okay. And then and then she comes back, sits down, starts talking to me again. She goes, I saw a commercial for your new show. You know, I do comedy. I would be a really good co-host and shit like that. I'm like, oh, God, here we go. Even before my fucking show launches, the fucking leeches are out.
They were coming for it. She was looking for a assigned spot as the co-host, nonetheless. Not even like not a cameo. She wanted to be partners.
Yeah. That just kind of shows you, like, Hollywood in a nutshell. Climbers and stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, so... there were a lot of chill moments. You know, it felt good going out to a restaurant, hanging out with people, hanging out with new people, and then getting recognized a little bit here and there. And then there were just a couple extreme things where there's a young people around. Like, I went to the Jersey Shore boardwalk, and like these kids were like chasing me. Fucking, there's like a mob scene, but like, you know. I have a perfect mix now. During the heat of the show, it was definitely too much, and this is just me, right? It's still, even in the heyday of my show, on the totem pole of like success and fame, it's still, I'm not trying to be humble, it's still pretty low when you're thinking about like fucking A-list actors who literally cannot leave the house. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's still kind of like, all right, I can leave the house and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I seen your show, whatever, you know? But even if that was like fucking 3 out of 10, even that was it's just too much. You just constantly get harassed. And people are so pushy. Let me get your number. Well, I'm on the phone with my cousin. Talk to this person. Hey, can you sing your theme song? Can you do that? You know, I'm always nice to people. I always take pictures with people, but people can be very fucking pushy.
Right. Or you're at dinner. You're at dinner with a friend. You know, you're getting like I'm sure you've seen it all at this point. You've seen all kinds of people, just no respect for personal space or anything. So
speaking of at dinner, this is the last time I'm going to name drop on the show, just because it's a cool story.
I don't mind. Listen, it's all good, man. It's not a big deal. Go for it.
I was at dinner with a big crew of like MTV producers and cast and stuff.
Yeah.
At Master's Steakhouse in Beverly Hills. I got a tap on my shoulder from the most humble guy ever. And he goes, yo, sorry to bother you. It's Dre. It's Dre. It was Dr. Dre tapping my fucking shoulder and asking me to talk to one of his sons on the phone. And I'm like, all right, you know, I know that's being a little hypocrite, but in that case, like, okay.
Right. You got to, yeah. I mean, listen, it is what it is. It's part of it all. I think like a good point you made. There's like a right amount of fame, and it's, you know, you don't want to be where you can't leave your house in peace, but it's also kind of cool to get acknowledged. So it's, I would way rather have the amount of people that come up to me now versus the heyday of my MTV show. Because now it's like, you know, a couple people here and there, but you know, when I do IRL streams, some people get annoying and come up to me, but it's way, way, way less, you know, so it's nice. Have you had any problems with IRL, like safety wise, security? Like, I mean, not like any harassment or people. There was some stuff where people were calling in threats, like bomb threats or stuff, like some weird stuff I heard. I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh yeah, no. Luckily, no, not for me.
Some of that stuff. Okay, but you've had
I've had people get angry at me. I was streaming, you know, at this place in Paris, and this guy walked up to me, and he put his ear almost on my mouth, and he goes, "Go fuck yourself," and he walked out.
Wow. And what is the actual rule on that? Because it's like you can't. The IRL portion, you know, waivers and whatnot. Like, what is the actual definition of the rule of that? Because like you in casinos, you're not supposed to take pictures or people. So like, is it just open season if you're walking down the street in New York City? Like,
yeah, I mean, walking down the street in public property, then you don't have. It's not illegal to have someone on camera.
Okay. Yeah, I guess once you start going into certain venues
about all the loopholes and shit, I don't even fucking want to know. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah, it's a Pandora's box. Tell me about the tattoos you got. I see you're rocking some. What do you got? What's going on there?
Okay. By the way, this looks like a stain. It's actually paint. It is a stain, but it's not like. I'm not one of those sloppy fat guys who has like fucking tomato sauce on his shirt and shit.
Wait,
it's just paint.
I don't even see it. Oh, on the top, on the shoulder.
I just got like paint on this shit.
Okay.
Anyway, Okay, so this is probably my favorite one. Hold on, this angle's not good. It's a desk.
Okay.
All right.
Different. What's that? What's that represent?
I was thinking how macho tattoos are. I'm like, tattoos are so fucking like macho a lot of the time. Guys getting like dragons and swords and shit. I gotta get a fucking badass tattoo.
Yeah.
So the thought of like tattoos and badassery, I'm like, fuck that, bro. I'm gonna get a table. That's hard as fuck. I'm gonna get like something really mundane. So I got a desk.
You went the other way on them. Okay. Threw them for
So then this a temporary tattoo that I got.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is my favorite quote from this philosopher, Robert Anton Wilson. Okay. Only the madman is absolutely sure, and his initials RAW, Robert Anton Wilson.
Wow, that's a pretty prevalent one there. You got I like that. I haven't heard.
You know, a lot of people have quotes like really little on their foot and shit. I just thought like, you know what? I've never seen a quote just take up a whole fucking arm. I'm just gonna go for it.
That's giving.
Yeah, I like that quote because it's true. All the fucking crazy people are the people that are absolutely sure of all these big issues and philosophies and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
they're convinced. Yeah,
they're convinced when they're these fallible humans that are limited by our sensory organs. You're just like, yeah, I know the answer. Or, you know, there is a God, there isn't a God. This is that. This is that. Okay, you're a fucking human being. Relax. Don't be that fucking naive. You're crazy.
I got to ask you about the music. So a good buddy of mine, Bryce Baker, yesterday sent this to me. I had not seen this particularly, maybe a long time ago. And I remember this, We Are Farmers. I watched the video. Very, very well done. Very creative. Very funny. Tell me about your music and where does this one rank in all the videos you've done? And what is your favorite? Give me some of your music. Rap.
We Are Farmers is definitely one of my favorite ones. Sorry.
No worries.
I just, that commercial came on in the background and I just was like, that's really catchy. We should use that for a sample. And the you know, it's Farmers Insurance. I was like, okay, that already gives us the theme for the video, right?
Right.
And so I told DJ A and Diplo, I told you I wouldn't name drop again, but that's who I worked with.
That's
Fuck
in the video, man. That's not name dropping. Facts.
I guess I'm too self-conscious about name dropping if you're working with someone.
Yeah. Good, man. No worries.
And they liked it, and they made the beat in like 15 minutes, and we put it out, and within 24 hours, we got a cease and desist letter from Farmers Insurance saying, nope, you ain't doing this shit. This is our fucking property. Take it down or there's going to be a lawsuit. So we had to take it down and we couldn't negotiate with them and we couldn't put it on our album. But it got deleted on YouTube and then people kept re-uploading it. So all the uploads you see are just from fans.
Oh, this is not this is like not the OG or the custom. This is just people who put it up.
Yeah, see, the sample removed one is on Simon's channel because that version kind of sucks.
Interesting. So they actually fought it. They just didn't like it. They didn't like the spoof or the play on it. They just
no. I think maybe it's because they're pussies. Okay. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I get it though. It makes sense. But is that something that, looking back on it, would have made more sense to go to them first, or no? Because then they would have just said no anyway, and you just had to get it out there. Like, did you
asking for forgiveness is way better than asking for permission.
That makes, unfortunately, I think that makes sense. I'm trying to process that statement, but yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah, very, very, very creative, very cool. So you actually came up with that idea. That was you were the one that initiated that. And how would that, out of the music and the things you do, what % would you say is your creative mind getting these ideas, or that you are asked to collaborate? Where does that sort of mix?
It depends if it's my song. I mean, I write all my own shit, but if it's like Three Loco, different ones have different ones of like, sometimes Simon has an idea for a song, sometimes Riff Raff has an idea for a song, sometimes I have an idea for a song and we go with it. I had the idea for Nito because it was basically my idea. Like, everybody was saying the word swag, and I thought let me come up with a word that's the nerdiest shit ever, but try to make it cool. It's like the opposite of swag is like nerdy as fuck, right? Neato. It's really neato. It's just nerdy, but putting it into a hip hop song and trying to make it kind of like a catchy thing, I thought was a cool idea. And me and Riff Raff did this before we were in Three Loco. We were doing a song together. I told him the concept of the song is to rhyme everything with neato. Step in the club and we're looking real neato. I be getting bitches in a blue tuxedo. We're neato, like a giraffe in a Speedo. Everything rhymes with neato, the whole verse. Okay. So I do my verse. He goes, yeah, I like that idea. He does his verse. Nothing rhymes with the word neato. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? He goes, dude, you just do your verse, I do mine. I'm like, that's fine with every other song, but I just told you the concept for the song. You heard my verse, you heard what the idea was, and now you just didn't do anything wrong with neato. And he goes, man, just come on, just let it go. This verse is fine. I'm like, yeah, but it totally fucking cock blocks the fucking idea for the song.
Yeah, did you
and he goes,
to one
man,
thing I said?
So we argued, and Riff Raff's not an easy person to argue with. Finally, he just backed off and he goes, all right, fuck it. He's like, all right, fine. Rewrote the verse. Everything right with neato. I was like happy. I showed it to Simon. Simon's like, bro, I love this shit. I got to be on this song. So Simon jumped on the song. And then, a little bit down the line, we decided to do a group together.
That's awesome.
And yeah,
that's awesome. So you are, what would you characterize your portfolio currently in terms of time kind of allocation or what you are? So you stream on Twitch, you do music, you do writing. What are you doing present day? What is the Andy Milonakis pie right now?
Right now I'm doing 0 music, but it's going to change.
Okay.
I'm talking to Blue about getting a Blue Kiwi, which is a fucking really sick mic. And I already have an Apollo. It's like a really good interface. I got the MacBook because I like creating music on a Mac. So in the other room, I'm going to create a little desk with a little mini home studio. And I'm going to start making music again. Probably within the next week or two. I spend a lot of time on Twitch, 40, probably anywhere from 35 to 55 hours a week.
A week, that much. I knew I've watched you a fair amount on there. I don't really watch people because I stream myself, and
you're doing your own thing.
You can't really, but I do keep an eye on you. I pop in, I see what's going on, and I do see you on there. But I didn't realize that's a lot. I mean, you're saying you're doing 100+ hours a month for sure. Basically, that's per week you're doing.
Way more than 100. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. I
awesome.
do want to do a produced travel show. I want to make a little bit of a reel of my past travel stuff and pitch that soon. I'd like to do a produced kind of cooking show. Those are just little seeds though. So right now, the poker thing that I have, making poker videos, doing coach sessions, doing Twitch, and soon making music again are going to probably be taking most of my time for now. And then in the background, there's a couple of produced ideas that I want to start getting cooking, as soon as possible.
That's awesome. And tell me about your hobbies. What do you do for fun? What's something you just enjoy to collect or do that's fun for you?
To collect, this is going to sound kind of weird, but I really like collecting bitches. No, I'm just kidding. I
didn't know where to go. I actually wasn't sure what to say. I was like, all right, okay, all right.
I wanted to bait and switch thing. I don't know, man. As much as making music could be work, I really, really love the process of making a song. The instant gratification of spending just a couple hours on something and then having a pretty almost finished project is really, really fun,
Right.
But same with travel. I mean, when I'm traveling, I'm streaming because it's fun to share sometimes mundane things, sometimes mundane things during travel, just walking around town, going into a couple shops. they can be way more exciting with a couple thousand people watching you. You know what I mean?
For sure. It's like poker as well. What's the difference? You're live on Twitch. You got 4 people watching. You got 4,000. But the energy, it's like the engagement, there's something to it, right? It's just kind of fun. There's something about it. The room.
That's why. Yeah, it's like it seems like stupid to say like streaming is your hobby, right?
Right.
But streaming is something that if you want to, and you can mold it in a certain way where the things that you love to do every day are just on stream, then you're working and you're doing your hobbies at the same time. Like for me, traveling and seeing the world is like my favorite hobby in the fucking world, if you could call it a hobby, but it's also work, right? Same with like, same with cooking. Like I love cooking. I love exploring and trying new recipes. I also do it on stream. It's a hobby, but I'm making money doing it. And that's, I think, part of like what's good about the dream of like creating content for a living. You could do stuff you love to do, put a camera in front of it, and make money on it, you know?
For sure.
Easier said than done, but you can.
Definitely easier said than done. And what about sports? Do you watch sports, play sports? What's your what kind of sport appetite do you have?
My sport appetite is I would love to eat some buffalo wings, and while they're watching a football game, I could be like, looking at my phone on Twitter or just like playing a mobile game maybe.
Right. So you watch football, you follow along, do you have a favorite team, players? Do you get into the sport? Like, are you into it? Do you do fantasy, or are you just kind of like, you have a couple teams you root for and that's at the extent?
My extent is if I'm in a house and sports are on and someone wants to bet money, then I'll be interested in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it has to be like, $10K or something. Someone wants to bet $100 on a game, that will hook me into it. And I hate that that's it. I'm not really into it,
Right. Fair enough. All right. I was curious if you were following this sort of sports card movement, Gary Vee, Lewis Howes, Steve Aoki, these guys, like it's getting kind of popular again. I collected when I was a kid and I've gotten back into it. I was hoping you were going to say you were into sports cards, because I was very curious on your opinion if you had one or had seen that. Have you noticed anything on that or not really? Just don't really. It doesn't spark you.
No, I mean I used to collect Garbage Pail Kids.
I'm not sure what that is, but that sounds maybe there's something there. I don't know what that is. Is that like Cabbage Patch Kids?
Yeah, it's like a parody of Cabbage Patch Kids in the form of like stickers.
Okay, all right. I'll check that out. Okay, well, I love the MTV Andy Milonakis story. I think that's honestly, I think it's so unique. It's just so cool, especially back, for a while ago. I think that's really cool to see that you've stuck with content and being creative and following along the path. Let's take some questions, because there are a lot, and I think I did see a lot of ones that I wanted to ask you as well. So before we start doing that last one, if you were going to do a travel show, what would be the dream format for you? Like the Anthony Bourdain show was, very, like, seems obviously moved you and really hit home for you. Like, what would be the ideal show that you would do? Would it be you would literally fly the world, go to places and do similar type of thing? How would you sort of structure it? Would you have a cameraman, like a crew? You would just be talking and doing your thing? Would it just be at restaurants, or would it be like a basically reality show filming all the time?
Well, I don't really want to tell the actual format because that's something I'm pitching. You know what I mean? It's not good, not good to tell it. But basically, like Anthony Bourdain, I think he paved the way for a lot of people, potentially. I don't want to really bite off him exactly, but I do want to make it kind of more a weirder, quirkier show, because I've seen so many food shows and they're like serious, talking to the chef. Yeah, this is my passion. This is my blood. And, we started from nothing and we had to get, when we got the first Michelin star. I think it could be looser. I think I see a lot that are kind of very like a mind of the chef, talking, eating, being, intellectual and a little bit pretentious sometimes.
Right.
I think we could break that wall still be serious about the food, because if you just take the food lightly and you're like, yeah, this tastes like shit, you know what I mean? Like, you can't do that, right? You got to like be serious about the food. But I think the actual show could be sillier. Maybe being fucking with people, you know, having like a cool rapport with people. Like, I want to talk to the chef about his start and stuff, but I also want to tickle him and maybe put him in a costume if he's willing, you know?
Right, and put them in an awkward spot. Ask them some stuff, or ask people in the venue if they've been there before, or yeah, just mess around. And I dig it. I think I would think you could pull it off. So I don't want you to I don't want you to blow up your idea before it gets to fruition. You can say that we chatted here and got a little sneak peek at it. So let's dive in. Let's dive into some of these questions. We're good on time. We got time for
yeah.
Sweet. Who is your favorite streamer? You have one that you probably don't watch too much, I would imagine, because you're already doing so much. But
my favorite streamer.
Give me a category. I guess IRL.
I do like IRL. I do like people going around traveling, because it's like stuff that I like to do. I don't fucking know who my favorite streamer is.
Back to it.
I don't know if I really don't know if I have a favorite streamer.
That's fair. That's a fair answer. Being a comedian and streamer, has this pandemic, as awful as it is, help your viewers on material? Are more people home? Let's take that first part of that. How is that? How is the COVID affected you specifically, and with what you're doing? Has it been how has it gone for you?
Well, the ability to not travel, kind of my Japan trip got kind of ruined because of it. I was supposed to go with a couple friends to Japan for like a month, and that got ruined. But I've been lucky that during COVID, a lot of people are like actually losing their jobs, and the fact that I have the ability to make money from home,
right,
I got no complaints about that. As far as the content, it's also helped me in a way too, because a lot of times when I do desktop stuff in between travel, I just look at it as like kind of a nuisance. I got to keep up with the stream, and just like I'm not traveling, so sometimes I feel like I'm giving my minimum. But since this is like more of a long-term thing, I feel like I've been a little bit more creative of finding games that my chat will actually really like, that I could interact with them at the same time. Doing cooking streams, coming up with my first like Twitch show. I feel like I'm pushing myself a lot, and it's cool because even when this pandemic is over, now in between travel, I have a different mindset and a different kind of point of view of like what I can do to stream when I'm not traveling that will be engaging and fun for my chat. And I don't know if I would have learned that if it wasn't for the pandemic to push me to be better at being a desktop streamer. So
and is it fair to say that with that, although it's a negative thing in the world in general, and for you it does shift your plans, things that obviously, like you mentioned, people losing their jobs, there's all kinds of serious impacts, but for you creatively, do you think maybe this benefited you from a perspective of being in one place, being focused, being able to have more time to sort of create and think and be, you know, because it's hard when you're on the road, it's not the same, right? You're at your computer, you're able to kind of have a nice workstation. When you're on the road, you're on your phone, you're not, you know, it's just different. So has that been maybe more creative juices?
It's helped in some ways, I guess, but I feel like the one thing that I toy with when I'm streaming is I don't always feel creative. I'd like to say, you know, it sounds nice to be like, yeah, I stream 55 hours a week. I'm getting a good view count. I'm having people that like my streams and enjoy my streams. But can I call it actually creative? And it's not fair for me to say that it's all creative, because a lot of times, even though it's fun, doing a flight simulator stream or playing a game, or, you know, like a lot of those things are just not that creative. Now, if I was making a song on stream, that's creative. Cooking streams are pretty creative, so that helps. But I don't feel like all my streams are like really always creative. And I'd like to somehow get it to a place where it was more creative. Even doing IRL streams, right? Walking around town, if I have like a good back and forth with someone, Or if I'm doing comedy bits and interacting with strangers, some of that can be creative, but some of it's just like, oh, Andy's in a store looking around. He's having a beer or going to, eat a dinner and having a funny conversation. It's not always like the most creative. So I do want to push myself more towards creativity and finding a good balance of that,
Is there anyone that you've met that makes sense? Is there anyone you met while in somewhere doing IRL that because I've seen some of the streams I've caught, you're in restaurants or somewhere and you're just kind of hanging out, or maybe a person comes by or next to you and you start engaging with. Is there anyone that you've become friends with or got their info, and someone that you met while in IRL that you've hit it off with?
Yeah, a lot of people. Even a really random story. I was in Hong Kong. Some lady cut in front of me and took my taxi, and I took the next one, and I was lucky because the guy was like this, like looking like a hip hop dude. He looked really young, and there's a meme on Twitch where they call people like something Andy, like just chatting Andes or 5K Andes. It's just like it's a hard to describe meme. It's kind of old, okay. But so I called him Hong Kong Andy, and he goes, "How did you know my name was Andy?" And he showed me his badge. His name was actually Andy. And then, we changed info with each other. And then the next day I hit him up, and he took us to the highest point in Hong Kong, and we just became cool. Like, I don't get to see him a lot, obviously, but we talk, and yeah, I made plenty of friends just streaming, interacting with people.
In that situation, are you live, or are you like in the cab live and then start talking with him, or like, so does he know who you are right away in that scenario, or no? But then do you ask him, "Hey, I'm live. Is it okay to talk?" Right? Or is that how it works, kind of? Or do you just?
Yeah, my chat room loved him so much I think they tipped him like a few $100s just while he was talking to me. They're like, "Give this to the driver. He's cool."
Wow, that's awesome. What about a poker idol growing up? Like, it's a strong word, idol, for poker, but was there someone that you watched, like the high stakes cash show, or the high stakes poker, and or saw some World Series of Poker characters back in the day? Is there anyone that you really like, wow, that's cool, or this guy, I like how he plays? Growing up,
I couldn't say I like how they play because I didn't know anything about poker.
I'm more their demeanor, like any characters or the way they talk. They're just like kind of the way they carried themselves. Did you have anyone that you liked in poker before you got into it that you had seen on TV?
I mean, I think Doyle Brunson is always cool as fuck.
It's hard not to respect Doyle, for sure.
Yeah.
This guy's asking, who's your caddy? I don't know if do you play golf, or did you, or do you know this guy, or is that a joke? I don't know what that means.
I don't play golf, but Who's Your Caddy is a movie I was in with Big Boy from Outkast and Faison Love. And we filmed it in Aiken, South Carolina. And the first day, this was at a time when I was afraid to fly.
Okay.
So I rented a big truck, and my friend was going to drive me to South Carolina.
From LA or New York?
From LA.
Oh, wow.
And when we got there, when we were about to leave, I ordered a Segway from Vegas, and my Segway got there the same day we were going to leave for the filming of Who's Your Caddy. And I saw the Segway, and I looked at the trunk, and I'm like, this shit could fit. So I just put the Segway in the back of the truck, and we brought it to South Carolina. And I'm in this old supposed haunted hotel with this old elevator that has like the like metal slide, and like there's an actual hotel operator that puts the elevator up and down. It's super old school, really long hallways. And I would just be in my room, and I would just dip out of my hotel room with my Segway, and I would just put it on the fastest key, and I would just like whiz down the fucking hallways of this hotel back and forth as fast as the thing went. I could feel the fucking wind in my hair. And I was just dipping around South Carolina with my Segway. And this was like probably like 2006 maybe. Oh, so wow. This was like Segways were still kind of a little bit on the newer side.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I got to smoke weed with Big Boy. Name drop.
That's awesome. How was that movie? What was that movie like? And what is your most two parts? How was that? And then what's your best movie experience you've been a part of?
I mean, that was awesome. Just I was a big fan of Outkast, and he really liked me, and he invited me to Thanksgiving with his family, and me and Faison got invited to Big Boy's house, and we got to have Thanksgiving with his family. It was really cool.
That is fun. I mean, listen, Thanksgiving with people is always fun. It's cool to see their family, and it's a very always friendly environment. But yeah, an Outkast Thanksgiving, you feel like that'd be like an auction item, right? That just seems like a thing to see. I would love to see that.
That was cool. I mean, yeah, to invite someone home with your family, like that's definitely respect,
right.
you know?
For sure.
And the best movie experience I had was probably like that was up there, but also I think my favorite one was Waiting. Because Waiting was my first movie. It was in New Orleans. There was a bunch of cool actors on it, and when we weren't on set, we got to just party in New Orleans, and it was just dope being on my first like Hollywood movie set. Like
that was Ryan Reynolds one. Is he?
Yeah.
I saw it. I think that's like where basically they're showing you what waiters and like food on the floor, and they're doing nasty stuff in the food.
Yeah.
That's a disturbing one because that is. I mean, I don't know. You got to believe a lot of that stuff happens, but yeah. That was a great experience.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool, man. Yeah, those are. How many different movies have you been on? How many times have you gone on set and location and filmed movies?
I don't know. There's a lot of really bad ones that I took just because I'm like, all right, I guess I'll do it.
There's a handful.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like 10, maybe like 8 or 10 or something like that. I don't even remember. But there's a lot of them that I'm kind of like, not to be mean, but some of them I don't really like think of as good projects. Like, you know.
Right. Do you remember the biggest cash game pot you've won and lost?
I don't know. My skill level is still like not that crazy, you know, like I know there's a lot of like people that have money and they just love to be fish and they love to just like throw their money around and like, you know, play in like games where there's like, you know, $10, $20, $30,000 hands. That's just not me. I kind of like playing my skill level, so it's probably not that big. I think maybe like, well, people are gonna fault me and be like, "You said that's not big. That's a lot of money." But like, probably like a few $1,000s.
Right.
Not like crazy. Nothing crazy. I don't play like crazy high stakes.
Yeah, you're getting into it. You're just starting to kind of get more serious.
Yeah, I want to play high stakes when I have the skill to back it up.
Right.
Not just to be a fucking fish, you know.
Not to splash around. I got it. Best advice. Give someone out there, maybe COVID, tough time right now, something they're looking to get motivated. Give me something that's worked for you in your life that you think that's just like kind of something powerful or, you know, I don't know, motivation. Give me kind of something that's like, give me something inspirational, Andy. That's what they're looking for in this question. Best advice.
Best advice. The best general advice, I think. The thing that I see other people struggle with that I don't struggle with as much is letting every comment from every single person in this world affect them way too much. Holding like value, like if one of your peers that you really respect and look up to you says something really negative about you or maybe calls you out on something, maybe that could affect your mood, right? But these like basement dwellers who fucking don't know you and just obviously there are no happy or successful people that are spending their time on the internet constantly just shitting on strangers that just don't exist.
Right.
So not only, this is not just about trolls, but also just like in life, the amount of hurdles that people put in front of themselves and like self-inflicted wounds are just, there's just so much. The weight that people put on themselves and the struggle people go through day to day, it's just a lot of it is not necessary. And I'm not saying their problems are not real, but I think if you really just try to compartmentalize things and hold value to things that really matter, like the people that you love, and putting a roof over your people's heads, like your family's heads, and all the other bullshit, just like you have day-to-day problems, but like instead of letting them blow up and just ruin your fucking mentality and your mental health, just try to really weigh it out and think about how unimportant most things in life are.
Yeah.
I think you need to be maybe self-aware, or sometimes look at like a bird's eye view, to just look at the bigger picture and think about how meaningless most of this stuff is.
For sure.
Sometimes people struggle with mental health, and that's very real, right?
Words
But
on that was the next thing I wanted to ask you about.
but
Yeah.
regardless of that specifically, if you have a mentality change and really try to embrace how little most things in life matter, I think you can devalue some of the stuff that causes you stress and heartache by just realizing this ain't shit. Who the fuck cares? Like, learn to care less about shit.
Right.
That's like my general advice.
Yeah, you mentioned mental health. I think in athletics, streaming in particular, there is some people get it can happen, right? Anywhere it can happen, but in particular, it can be lonely. It can be long hours. You can be in a computer. It's prevalent, and as I think we actually met was at that Twitch event, right? That was at the 2000 maybe 18, and at the Aria we shot. There was that big Twitch stream. Remember that?
Yeah.
There was a charity event, and actually Reckful, who, rest in peace, he had committed suicide this year. He was a big time streamer. I don't know if you knew him well, or you met him. I don't know.
Yeah, he was a good friend.
Yeah, so I mean, that it's a real thing, and mental health it's not a joke. I mean, I think that's something that's like you're touching on. People are negative. People are putting out negative energy, but like it's just not a good thing. It's like, why are people doing that? What can we do? Do you have anything to say in regards to mental health, or maybe some advice or stuff that you have learned, or something to help with that? Because I think at some point everybody deals with, call it mental health or not, depression or feeling down. This is something that's normal. It's part of life. But some people struggle with it more than others. Do you have anything to say on that, on the issue of mental health, and anything suggestion wise, or things that might help?
Whoa, that's heavy. That's a long, heavy question.
Up on here, but mental health is close to me as well. I
don't think I could really talk on when you're talking about clinical depression. Like, that's why I tried to make a little side thing about what I was talking about with your mentality, right?
Yeah.
Because there are some things that you can change with your mentality and outlook, and learning to lessen the weight of certain comments and stuff like that. But when you're talking about clinical depression, it's a complete different ball game. Whether you're on medication, whether you're not on medication, whether you have a chemical imbalance or you're bipolar. Yeah. This is something that I know very little about, so it's kind of hard for me to speak on. I can't wave a magic wand and just like start knowing about these medical issues. I think a lot of people kind of mislabel depression as this overall thing, like, oh man, you're down, we got to get you happier, we got to like hype you up to have a better mentality and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's irrelevant with someone who's clinically depressed.
For sure.
They're going through some deep shit, so like, I really don't know.
Right. Okay. No, I was curious if you had, it's just something I feel like within Twitch, within the community, there is some, talks. It's one of those things that sort of comes up, and there's been some stuff where I think mental health is getting more light. It's getting more attention these days. People are paying more attention and giving it more, I don't want to use the word respect, but more enlightenment on it. I'm just curious if you ever, because like for yourself, someone that I think it's just in general, people that deal with highs, right? Like like athletes. There was the Way to Gold recently was put out, and it's showing about Olympians. I just feel like with actors or people that sort of come into, like yourself, you've hit some massive highs with stardom or fame or whatnot. I just feel like it's more, it can be tricky when you hit some big highs, right? Because it's like when you get a show or you get a 3.8 million tweet, it's kind of like an endorphin rush, right? Like there's sort of a positive like vibe or feeling to that, and it's maybe hard to get back to that point. I just didn't know if that hit home to you at all. Like,
yeah, but without, I hate relying on like phrases and stuff, but like,
yeah,
I really do believe that like without like the lows, the highs don't feel good, right? If everything was just a static feeling, then there's nothing, right?
True.
You need that roller coaster effect. Now, when people feel the lows and the highs feel really good, and the lows are kind of like grinding and doing things, the problem is for the lows, some people, they're not just, oh, okay, now this is a little downtime, right? The lows feel like they're in the depths of hell and they're fighting their own brain about, and I feel bad for people who struggle with that. Not only, it's not all people with like clinical depression. A lot of everyday people feel like when they're on like a low point, it feels like hell to them. And I don't really know exactly what to say to them, but I think people are very, very hard on themselves. They're way too hard on themselves, and we just gotta like enjoy the ride, and hopefully you have your head above water during those lows. And if not, and I know a lot of people don't, and the people that lost their job or who are struggling through this COVID shit, I feel for them because it must be so stressful. I've experienced the stress of like, living month to month and like, I have enough. And you're working so hard and just to get your head above water to pay that bill. Just like, I'm working so hard. What do I get for it? Oh, yes, shelter. I paid for my monthly apartment. So, man, that can wear on anybody. You know what I mean? As far as streamers, I think a lot of the mental health issues, when it's maybe not clinical, I think the staring at 3 fucking lit up monitors every day for 10 hours a day and not having real relationships with people outside and going outdoors and getting sun and going to meet people,
right,
and learning and growing as a person, maybe do a little travel. I feel like a lot of the mental health starts wearing down from just hermiting, that hermit lifestyle. It doesn't matter if you have 10,000 people watching you. If you're staring at a screen and you're doing the same thing every day and you're not actually interacting with humans in front of you and you're not getting sunlight and you're not, growing as a person, I feel like that starts to drain you. And I think people have like this weird thing where their battery feels like it's like drained,
Yeah. No, I think that's sort of that makes the way you just explained it exactly right. I think that's a real thing. And it's kind of hard too, because when you do, you grind, you work hard to get a stream, to get an audience, to build up. And then all of a sudden you hit that point of success. It's hard to just be like, all right, I got 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 average viewers every time I go live. All this stuff's coming in. And then it's just like, as Twitches, it's tough because you have to be consistent. If you take a month off or two,
you do have to be consistent. But you know what you could do if you have that audience already? Get a fucking phone and walk outside and do a stream. Like there's nothing keeping you inside.
I agree with you, and I think that's the answer. I think that's one of the ways that could help with that a lot. And I think it's also, or you do take some breaks, or you have a schedule and you don't do it 24/7. So more time than. Sorry, I didn't want to go down sort of the rabbit hole there, but you answered basically what you did hit home, I think, on a major point and part of that. Sports we covered, talking about any two for poker. Rapper that inspired you? Any rappers that you really, really enjoy or like?
Big L, MF Doom, like Wu-Tang. I grew up listening to NWA. I mean, I can't say they really inspired me. If they inspired me, I'd be doing drive-bys,
Right. That movie was incredible. Straight out.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Some poker questions. We'll save the poker questions since you're that's not Andy's a star in the making in poker, guys. He's diving in, so you'll see more of him. We'll take a few more, and then what about stand-up comedy? There's someone asking, how much do you miss stand-up comedy? Were you doing a lot of that early on? Do you still do any of that?
No, I did improv. I did improv with Upright Citizens Brigade. I didn't really like doing stand-up comedy. You got to repeat the same joke for like a year. Some stand-up comedians are great at what they do, but the whole thought process of gathering bits that work with an audience and fine-tuning a set and repeating that same joke sometimes over a year in a row, it just didn't seem like my cup of tea. But I really like doing improv, though.
Very cool. Yeah, that's that seems fun. How did you do that for a set period? Like where it was every day or every couple times a week? How into it did you get?
I was working in IT at the time, and I would do improv classes after work, probably maybe up to 3 times a week. And then I started performing regularly with doing an improv show at UCB. It was like a once a week show, but it was like a second life. Honestly, I was working in IT for 40 hours a week in Manhattan. Then after my job, after the day was over, I would go to an improv show. Next day, go to an improv class. The next day, I'd go do a coach session with a few people. And then we'd go out to a local bar and hang out. It was kind of like a double life. I was kind of getting into this whole comedy world. And even at that time, I never thought of turning into a career. It just seemed like a really fun hobby to kind of to do on the side of, instead of just doing the Groundhog's Day, go to the subway, go to your job, go home,
For sure. All right, we'll take a couple more here, and we got the rapper question about inspiring you, and let's see. There's some funny questions here. What would you say is, well, I feel like I already know the answer, but what's the best thing that has happened to you in your career? What's the most fortunate or best thing that in your entire to date? I have a feeling what it is, but if it's what is that?
I mean, yeah, I guess it has to be my show, right? Because I did the show for 3 years. It helped give me enough of a name to carry me through some of the years after it was canceled, whether it was appearances, working with brands, coming on different platforms and having some notoriety. Like I said, when I was working on Jimmy Kimmel Live, not a lot of people knew me, but when they're spending millions and millions of dollars for a show with your name on it, with advertisements and all the reruns and stuff like that, it really helped give me not the biggest name ever, but enough of a name to turn that into something where if I tried different things, I had a little bit of a following. And I know it's really hard from people starting from zero to be like, all right, let me go put myself out into the world now, give me views, you know what I mean? Yeah. So
what was that?
Definitely.
What was that like when the show did not continue? Was it 1 year deals, 2 year? How long did it run? And what happened when they said, hey, this is going to be the last season of this, or how did that kind of go down? Because I'm interested on that sort of process. Do they give you a warning? Do they just tell you when the season's up? How does that work?
We did 3 seasons. And then after that, we just didn't really kind of talk to them for a while, and we're kind of like, yeah, it's done. I don't know. Pretty much that's it.
That's the way. Okay. Third most tweet. Is that correct? Is that third most ever? Is that right? I saw it was the third most insane. That you have the third most liked tweet of all time. Do you know what is the most liked tweet of all time? You must know. If you're third, you got to know what's 1 and 2, Andy. How do we get you to 1? Might as well go for it at this point. What is the is there a tweet? I don't even know how you know that.
Okay.
Give me this, Andy. This is exciting.
Number 1 and 2 are both Barack Obama. Number 3 is me.
Wow. And are those in reach, or did he just knock it down? Like those are
I'm a $500,000 away from number 1.
Oh, so you're gonna sync this. This is coming up, man.
No. You don't understand. Tweets after a couple days, they have a shelf life.
This is it. You hit.
Yeah, you hit the top in like a couple days, and then
tweet peak. That's it.
Yeah, but think about a timeline. You know what I mean? People aren't being like, let me go back and see what Andy Milonakis was up to 2 months ago, and be like, oh, what's this tweet? You know what I mean? Like, the peak is like 2 days.
That makes sense. Although I will say this is bizarre because we talked about doing a podcast for a while. I'm glad. Thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
I saw the tweet and I actually didn't know about it right away.
Oh, because it was pinned.
But yeah, I saw it. I liked it. I've actually had to like it a few times. There could be an error. I'm just letting you know. So like I've hit it. I've liked it, and then like when I came back on and came here, it showed that I didn't like it. I'm just saying.
A lot of people told me that happened to my tweet.
I'm just letting you know.
A lot of people told me there's some foul play. I think Barack is paying them off.
Protecting that lead. I'm telling you, bro. I've hit it like 5 times. It's not a joke. So
yeah,
just so you know, man. If I don't know, something's fishy going on, Andy.
Yeah, my tweet is broken.
Something's messed up. All right, let's take one more, and then we'll let you ride off into the sunset.
All right.
Let's see. Movie. What's your favorite movie? Is there any movie that you just love?
Oh man, I hate these favorite questions. It's so hard.
It's like Twitter.
I know, but it's just so hard. What's your favorite movie ever out of the 10,000 movies you've seen?
That's not going to be our last question. I can't have it go like that.
I mean, I don't know. There's 8 million movies I like. I really like Goodfellas. Let's say Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. Good answer. Goodfellas. Good answer.
It's so hard though. What's your favorite thing ever? Your brain scrambles into your memory of like every movie you've ever seen.
Yeah, there's a lot of poker questions I don't want to ask you, but that's it. I said the last one, even though it's not your favorite. I want to find a question that you love. Give me. All right, how about this? We talked about new projects. You didn't give us the full deal. You got something in the mix, something going on. Leave us something to end the podcast. Tell me something that has touched you in a way, like something, either a person you met, a story you heard, something.
A lot of people have touched me, but I don't know if we want to get into that.
No, Andy, come on. That's an off-air conversation, bro. Well, over a beer. Give me something like something that just like really inspired you throughout your career. Just like really meaningful. Either it could have been a person or an event that really touch, not the right word, that motivated you, inspired you. Is there anything?
I mean, honestly, Jimmy Kimmel, he fucking made me. He's a super successful guy who saw some fucking fat, weird fucking kid from New York, and he didn't only just, chew me up and spit me out after he played my videos a couple times. He saw enough potential in me to make me a regular on his late night show, and even after that, bring me to fucking MTV to do my own show. So it's like, how can that not inspire you as someone who's like so big in Hollywood, but actually has like a kind heart that actually cares about the person? It's not just some Hollywood douchebag. You know what I mean? So like,
that's pretty amazing. Explain a bit more about Jimmy then. So he saw this. Do you talk to him still regularly? You consider him a good friend? Like, is he someone like?
I still talk to him. Yeah. I mean, he's busy. I don't really bother him that much, but I mean, even like a few years ago, I had an idea for a show, and he goes, "I like it. I'll put my name on it." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
He's got your back. That's very, very.
Yeah, he's a really, really loyal like dude. That he's done everything he could for me. Like 0.0001% of the world. I don't know how many percent, what the percentage is, but to find someone big in Hollywood, pull someone out of obscurity, and actually, give them what it takes to make a career out of it. Like,
yeah,
I can't take my hat off to anyone else but that,
For sure. And I just want, and also I want to ask about your parents. As from me, we're done with the questions on Twitter. We're gonna wrap up, do the $109 giveaway here in a second. But how about your parents kind of being I guess you call it, I don't know how to other describe it, you were a star at a young age. You had your own show. It's easy to get
not that young. Yeah, but
yeah.
My father is a hardcore Greek. And he was just telling me when I was taking improv classes, they're stealing your money. Hey, what are you doing over there? You have no business going over there. They're taking your money from you. And meanwhile, my mom is like 1,000,000% supportive and just like flipping out, you know. And then when I actually got the show, my father was like, he has this stoic like Greek persona, so he doesn't show it to me. But when I go to this Greek association, his friends come up to me when he's not around. He goes, "Your father told me you got a show. He talks about you all the time and he brags about you." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, I got you."
That's awesome. And I see you did cross over. And when I say you got over 100 million views, I mean, that's even probably more because I was on Wikipedia saying that's a lot of people. I mean, you really are talking about a percentage of the world. It's pretty sweet. And when I say young though with money, I mean, you know, you weren't like a lot of actors or people, I would say, to be in the 20s and young, like you're young, you came into some money. Were you responsible? Do you think you handled it well? Like looking back, would you have done things differently? Or you just didn't know, because it kind of happened fast, right? You get a deal, like a major deal. You sort of overnight get a big check, I would imagine, right? I don't know how exactly it works, but you sign a deal, right? That's what happened. They give you a show and you get paid, right? So like, were you equipped to handle that? Did you at that point have a manager right away, or did it take some time to learn the ropes in that sense?
I don't feel like I really had to learn the ropes. Was I responsible? Not really. I think I love spending money.
That's a fair statement. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, call it responsible or not. I guess it depends how you look at it.
I love the ability to make money, and I love working hard for money, but I also love spending it. And I think there's a balance, right? Maybe I'm one extreme and then there's another extreme. I think I need to work on going and meeting that situation in the middle. Mm-hmm. But I think people who work fucking hard, bust their ass every day, and they save and they save and they save, and now they have a good amount of money for their fucking golden casket. Go fucking live life. I don't give a fuck if I'm living in a studio apartment, rent to rent for the rest of my life. Having decades of fun, traveling the world, and I'm not buying Rolexes and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like I would prefer to use my money for experiences. Everybody can spend the money how the fuck they want to. But also, like, I like taking care of people. I like taking care of friends. I like taking care of my family. It feels really nice to be able to help people out. But I don't know. I'm not a big saver.
You're not buying Lamborghinis and you're not making impulse purchases, but you'll go to nice dinners and travel. Like you're doing experiences.
Yeah, and take care of my family when I can. You know what I mean? Like, so Was I responsible in setting up all this money for the future and being like, oh my God, I guess I could buy, you know, Whole Foods, even though it's expensive. I could buy this week, but then tomorrow I got to make sure I don't do like.
Yeah, I got it. I'm with you. We're on the same page.
If you want to make me broke now, like, that's cool. I'm going to continue to work hard. I'm going to continue to make money, and I'm going to continue to enjoy my life and spend that money. And everybody can do what they want to do. You know?
I love it. I'm going to send you a copy of Bill's book, Bill Perkins' Die with Zero. I think you'd really dig it because it's a sort of along those lines, and I just think you would enjoy it. So I'm going to get your address and ship that over. Do you read books or do you do audio? What do you like? Do you do any reading?
I do read I like reading nonfiction. I don't really like reading fiction, but the only problem I have with books is when I read a few pages and then I'm kind of like thinking of other shit at the same time as I'm reading, and I'm like, fuck, I didn't retain any of that, and I got to go back again. So sometimes audiobooks are nice. If I only do an audiobook if the actual person who wrote that book is narrating it, because then I feel like they're telling me their story. I could hear their inflection. I could hear their voice. So I like audiobooks. Sometimes, you know,
I would strongly recommend that. But either way, thank you so much, Andy. I'm on your count, someone's gonna win this $109 ticket. Go ahead and you tell me when, and we're gonna roll it, and someone's gonna parlay this. I got a feeling we're gonna hear a story from this. So $109.
All right.
Tell me when.
right now.
Boom. There it is. A 109 ticket in the books. Andy Milonakis, I appreciate you so much, man. Really.
Hey, no problem.
To talk to you, bro. This is a very, very generous. Let's see who this name is. And again, give him a follow on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, and you do have YouTube if you want to go back, but you haven't been as active on that. Where is that the order? Is that right? Twitch, Instagram, Twitter?
I like Twitter better than Instagram.
Oh, wow. Look at this one. A great question that was asked by Craig. Thank you so much. We're going to get him that ticket. And again.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he got it. He's won before, and he's won a book, the Die with Zero copy as well.
I was going to say you leaked his DMs, but I guess it just has a P.O. box.
Nothing personal. This guy, he's a champ. He's a scholar. He'll be pumped up to win it. So, Andy, again, thank you, brother. Appreciate this. Will be out on all the audio outlets, and good luck with your poker venture. I'm sure we'll meet up soon, and thanks again, man. Appreciate you.
No problem, bro. Have a good day.
All right, guys. That's Andy Milonakis, podcast number 90 in the books. We got more next week. We'll see you guys soon. Big thank you to Andy.
Peace.